municipality wants to shape the city for a better future. Now, one of the ways to do this is to partner with key stakeholders in order to implement these growth strategies. Hello and welcome to the CNBC Africa Special. My name is Fifi Peters. Today we're coming to you from the warm city of Durban at the International Convention Center, where the Shape Durban Workshop Conference for 2018 is taking place. Now, all over the world, cities are having conversations about how to make themselves smarter and relevant for the 21st century. We're here to find out what the city of Durban plans to do in this regard.
The eThekwini city wants to fundamentally change the way in which strategies are developed through a new approach, which is a partnership for growth. In essence, it seeks to co-create a strategy or growth path that is developed, signed, owned and implemented by a cross-section of key economic stakeholders. In-depth panel discussions, breakaway sessions and interactive discussions provided for further opportunities to share ideas and concerns. Some of the key messages communicated were creating a more competitive city for jobs and the importance to understand that collaboration will take the city forward.
Shape Durban, there was a reason why officials got together to say, we need partnerships, we need investors, we need people that are living locally in Durban to tell us what is lacking, what really is lacking in the city. How do we accelerate growth in the city? So that's the reason why we have called thinkers here, opinion makers, people that are in the economy, in businesses, to tell us what to do. So I hope that these 3 days they would be able to give us some very potential points as how we increase employment for the youth, because we have many graduates that are sitting at home. How do we assist them? What should the city do? How could you assist the city in order to get the unemployment rate low as far as possible?
Some other agendas highlighted in the panel discussions were that practical actions must be taken to create easier access to markets for small businesses and bigger enterprises alike. So what kind of incentives is the city offering?
We've got a rates and rebates policy from the municipality that talks about levels of investment and how do we support investors in terms of rate rebates. That's one. Secondly, we've got certain pockets of strategic land that is available, which is the Virginia Airport land, where we want to relocate that airport to another part of the city. We want to have a multi-use development in that area. It will be a coastal development. We also have the Centrum site, which is a very big site ready for development. It is in the middle of the city center. We are looking for partnership with private sector. City will be injecting money in terms of infrastructure, basic infrastructure that is required for both sides. But besides that, there is quite a lot of projects that are done by private sector. But where we come in terms of fast-tracking applications for construction sites, I must say that our turnaround has improved by more than 80% on construction sites, the approvals for that. Also in terms of zoning and also in terms of plans, town planning schemes, we have improved a lot. I think there we have improved about 70% in terms of turnarounds, because we have created offices that are specifically dealing with major investments in the city.
So how do these investments tie in with the 5-year plan to shape Durban for a better tomorrow?
One of the things we ensured is that this conversation that we're having today with the business community and all of the other stakeholders in Durban is not just about a high-level conversation. It's developing a 5-year plan. So out of this 3 days, we're going to have a plan that different role players agree on moving forward. And the key role for us, I think, is to ensure how do we sustain this partnership over the next 5 years. And the critical part of maintaining that partnership is ensuring implementation. Because as long as there's movement, as long as things are happening, partners will stay involved. If there is no implementation, if it's just about coming up with great ideas, then the partnership itself is not going to last. So the city has recognized that the fourth industrial revolution and innovation is going to be increasingly a critical part of how growth happens in cities. And with that in mind, the city formed a non-profit company called Innovate Durban. So Innovate Durban was set up about just over a year ago with the agenda of driving innovation within the eThekwini area, promoting innovation among youth. So they're running a lot of programs with youth, working with business and marrying the two, trying to get the youth to develop solutions for business, and in that way get them opportunities, economic opportunities.
What we found over the last few years is that mentorship and guidance plays a pivotal role in any business, especially a young person trying to develop and evolve into their own. So we provide a lot of support in terms of that. Also with regards to networking, we provide the linkages between different stakeholders. We see ourselves as the core, as that platform to really elevate and support innovation in the region. And funding is just one of those areas, but also providing support in terms of intellectual property is really key in driving innovation. I think what is key is that we look for innovation, something where there is a real gap, something that provides value to the marketplace. Those are the critical elements we look at. We do provide business development support, but only in relation to innovation. We are trying to build skills for the fourth industrial revolution, so that the fourth industrial revolution is not related to job losses, but in fact an improvement of skills, especially amongst our youth.
To accelerate towards an inclusive growth path for eThekwini is to get input from external stakeholders. But what is the business climate or mood like in Durban?
We're quite encouraged and excited that our businesses are quite sentimental, first of all, to the city, and very, very committed to the city, to ensuring that the city does become successful and the economy of the city does grow, and also that the city does have an opportunity to actually create jobs. So, the discussion started around there where, the business are saying, we want to make a difference, we want to do something, we want to make a contribution. And for us to actually do that, we need to have a proper partnership with government. So there's various initiatives that businesses are looking at. There's long-term wins, and then there's also quick wins. So one of the key industry that the businesses are looking at right now is tourism. So there's a lot of commitment from corporates that are based here in Durban, both corporates, medium-sized businesses, as well as various state-owned enterprises and other key stakeholders, to make sure that within tourism we do have something meaningful and impactful that can ensure that our tourism industry does grow.
The Breakaways Sessions, divided up into 7 themes, provided participants the opportunity to ask questions, give feedback and raise some concerns. One of these concerns was about crime. So how is the city going to shape Durban for less crime to attract more investors?
Yes, of course, we have that bit of a problem, which is crime at the moment. There's instability in it, simply because we do have our polices on hotspots at the moment, doing their monitoring, doing their patrolling in hotspots. So, but, I did meet with the managers of all the hotels in the beachfront. We did discuss this, and I want to guarantee to the investors, please don't be afraid of that. We will take control of crime. Crime and shape Durban goes hand in hand. How do we keep the city safe so that investors are free to come and they feel that it is a safe place? We are here to keep our citizens safe, and we will do everything in our power to do so.
Another key message communicated was to actively include big players to be more involved. But partnership has been an ongoing process which never stopped.
the Inkos Albert Luthuli International Convention Center was established through a partnership between government and private sector. So we never stopped in doing that. We've got several projects that we have done with business. We've got a project which is called River Horse Valley, which is a strip of land that belonged to the municipality, where we had a partnership with Tonga Hewlett and other stakeholders to develop River Horse Valley. And we now have a lot of small and big industries that have established there. Mainly those industries are in the distribution and logistics, and also small manufacturers. That helped the city to generate more revenue in the form of rates, and also for those businesses paying for services that are, like electricity, waste removal, water, and so on. Another one is Konupia development, another multi-use, multi-purpose development, where you have small industries, residential, including shopping centers. But part of it also looks at providing social services to communities who are below middle income. So it's part of a major investment by the city and national government, including private sector. So we have invested billions of rands in that project. But we are talking about which areas where we still have opportunities for partnership.
But what would businesses like to see in terms of policy, formulation, and certainty from the government?
We as a chamber, I think when I spoke earlier on, I did say that we do policy and advocacy. So on the policy side, we do quite extensive researches in terms of policies and how they can affect business, and we also mobilize our members around to get the view, to say, what is your view on this? Do you think that it will be impactful on business when you look at the different policies and stuff? And the submission, we've just also done a recent submission as well onto the land expropriation without compensation. And of course, we're saying that we do support it as long as in certain other areas it does not affect businesses, and discussions are had. Here in KZN, we've been quite fortunate that like I said, our businesses are very open and really wanting to make that difference. Where some of the businesses have had the discussions with government, and they've come to agreements in terms of what is a business requirement, and when it comes to land expropriation without compensation, how can we work together to make sure that it's beneficial for both government, for our society at large, as well as for the business.
Well, that wraps up day one of the Shape Durban Conference for 2018 that is taking place here at the Albert Luthuli International Convention Center. Do stay tuned, because we will be back again, where we'll be looking at what role the youth and communities will play in shaping Durban for a better tomorrow. See you then. Welcome back to the Shape Durban Conference here at the Albert Luthuli International Convention Center. Now, on day one, we kicked off with eThekwini municipality shared its strategy to grow the city for a better future. As we continue today, we will learn how important it is to partner with the youth, small business and communities to take the city forward.
Shape Durban immediately started off with its 7 themes. To build a sustainable economy, the question about what role everyone plays were raised, especially the role of women and youth.
We want the involvement of women and youth. That's one. 2, we want the involvement of African community in general, but youth and women, we are very specific about that. So we want them to come in. So these are multi-billion rands projects, and they are long-term projects. They are sustainable. Secondly, professional services. We want young people to come in major projects to provide professional services. There is a lot of money that is in the professional services, not necessarily on the construction, but people like engineers, architects, lawyers, accountants are required when you set up the project. And we also want young people to come in, even if they are not business people, but they come in as analysts, as academics, people who can advise the city on how do we move forward and how do we involve young people in projects. That will require young people themselves to be part of these discussions, part of the initiatives, and we must regularize that. There must be an institutional review so that we ensure that they are part of the process.
Our role is to make sure that we shape the future of the city into one where we can live and thrive. And this is where, we are taking big steps in influencing the decision making in the city. We are the core partner in the Shape Durban conference and have been sitting with the city in terms of curating all the discussions that happen. So not only the youth discussion, but all the other discussion on the socially and economically marginalized people, on skills and innovation, especially with the fourth industrial revolution. We go on to institutions and regulations in making those strong so that they can force an environment where the youth can thrive. And so there are so many sessions where we are exerting our influence and trying to curate the sort of environment where when we take ourselves into the future, it doesn't become a burden of the future, it becomes a place where we really do thrive. If you just look behind me, we've got the youth session, which is being run by the Global Shapers community. Just take a peek there. What we are doing is co-creating ideas, making sure that there is inclusivity in the solutions that we bring forward. The city, as a partner of the Global Shapers community, is going to take on these solutions, and then we are also, as youth, going to take on our own ends of those solutions. So we're not just coming to ask for people to do things for us, but we are entrepreneurs. We are people that are employed working. We are also students, so we want to use the entire skill set of the youth so that we can become active participants. So the first thing that we've got to deal with in Durban is the homelessness issue. So what we want to do is to pioneer and a partnership where we have infrastructure available to have homes available to people that are homeless, bring in partners for rehabilitation and reskilling those people. So that's one of the biggest projects we're working on. And as a hub, we have people that are very skilled in working towards that. The second thing is on skills and innovation. What we've done is we've realized that people don't have foundational skills, in terms of problem solving, critical thinking, and so they don't thrive in workplaces, they don't thrive after matric. So we want to have solutions where we can go on grade 11, 12s in our communities here in Durban and make sure that we are producing the kind of talent that can take the city of Durban forward, the kind of talent that we can also retain, within the workplaces. So that's the second thing that we're working on, and that's very important. Thirdly, business-wise, especially with the Continental Free Trade Area that came up, as a hub, we've lobbied, we traveled across several countries to lobby the African Union for the introduction of the Continental Free Trade Area. We want small business to be at the forefront of the new Continental Free Trade Area. Cross-border trade is a big part of the African economy. We traveled by public transport on buses just to understand how small businesses and traders that we think are street traders in markets are operating. It's a big part of the African economy. A lot of the black African trade happens through those channels if we take out the multinationals. So we need to bring them in the mainstream economy, and that's one of the key things that we'll be focusing on as a hub as well.
I would think personally we would need all kinds of skills for helping the people of Durban. So it would be anything from soft skills to technical expertise skills, and these skills are coming from Germany. It's a funded program where Germany is sending across their professional experts to help us upskill the people of Durban. There is so much of potential. Like yesterday we heard the president of the Durban Chamber saying that the youth and the people of the city, they don't need, we can't go go around saying, okay, let's create jobs, because that's like a pie in the sky. What we do need to do is create opportunities. Let them know that these ideas exist. Let them know that the port, the ocean, the blue economy exists. Everything is about globalization. Everything is about moving into the Industrial 4.0. So I think that many of us just know it as a term, or it's a hashtag right now, and it's trending. But I think when you put pen to paper, we gotta have to bring them into a hub and unpack this for them, unpack it for the people, for the youth, to understand exactly what is Industrial 4.0, how is it affecting each and every industry. So we gotta have to speak to them from fashion industry to your foundries, to your engineering, to your automotives, because in this shape, Durban, it's wonderful to listen to the youth, and it's wonderful to understand their ideas, but I think some of them are limited and restricted in terms of the global bigger picture on what else there is outside their communities. It's not just only fashion, it's not just only hair, it's not just only teaching or doctoring. There's so much happening out there. There's so much happening at the beachfront. They could come and understand the yacht building, get involved in those kinds of spots. So coming back to the question of Industrial 4.0, everything is getting into that field. So it all boils down to exposure. We've got to expose the people of Durban into how important it is for Industrial 4.0, because a lot of our millennials are all moving in that direction. So it's about preparing ourselves, understanding, educating ourselves first. And then these mentors that we bring from Germany will bring a wealth of knowledge that they would just pass it on to you, pass it on to your organization, and you can now take this and transcend it and make your operation a better one.
Partnering in this process means to work as a co-owner with the city and various other national and local organizations towards influencing the future direction of the city. Competitive cities address firm-level performance as the core of job creation and growth, and the workshop sessions focused on enabling factors that lead to a rise in our firm-level performance. But what else is needed to accelerate success?
Collaboration is always important in any plan or strategy that's being put together, because no one person has all the skills and expertise and experience required to implement a mammoth task like this. Planning economic development and socio-economic development planning for a city, not just any area but a city, is a mammoth task which can't be done by one person. My takeaway has been that it would not be ideal for only one partner, even if it's a big partner like government or NGOs or businesses, even if it's big business, to implement many things or one thing by themselves. So it's been good to see the energy. It's been good to interact with people from different walks of life, NGOs, people in the education sector, academia, small businesses, even traders have been coming, which has been really, it's been amazing. And there's so many people and organizations in Durban which are keen to see the growth of the city, not just keen, but willing to put down effort, time, skills, etc. All those things we've been talking about, willing to put all of those down for the development of the city. There's been so much hype on social media that we've already started receiving reports that it's reached international shores, and investors so far are even reporting and saying that because of the positive messages that are coming out of the city, they're wanting to invest in Durban.
I was involved in the Skills and Innovation workshop, and some of the ideas that came through were quite ingenuitive, where some people suggested that companies must adopt schools, and some people suggested that we must have much more, education system must be looked at in terms of finding a way for children to be able to get the skills that they want. And it's really about linking the skills development programs with an innovative way for make it much more easier and much more accessible for students, to create skills that are implementable in the fourth industrial revolution and in also the future jobs. So you're basically trying to look at how we can be able to create a process that can take students who don't have that kind of skill and prepare them for future. We need to take more part in our city. need to take more part in shaping the environment that we're in. One of the biggest problems about us is that we leave Durban and go elsewhere and try to make our dreams come true there, maybe in Cape Town or in Joburg. But Durban really is a city, and this really shows you, when it comes to Shape Durban, it really shows you just how much potential there is within Durban, how many people are trying to make a difference within Durban, and our inputs can really make that happen more. You know, every person that I am involved in, most of them are entrepreneurs, and they all have the same notion that Durban, there's a very lack in terms of business, but this really shows you that that's not it. We're just not connected. That's the real thing. And this brings us together. Shape Durban brings us together in a connected way where we can share ideas and really grow and really make the city become the city that we want it to be.
Well, there you have it. Working towards a better future means creating easier access to markets and also incorporating the youth and the community in your development strategy. From myself, Fifi Peters, and the team here at the Shape Durban Conference, it is bye for now.